everybody, Larry, Motoring Specialist. Let's go out in the shop and see what we got going on. I think we have a couple of cool cars to look at. I'm going to talk about some of my opinions about cars and then a difficult diagnostic we have. Let's go check it out. All right, we're going to start with this wonderful BMW 650. This is a car that was at another shop that was towed to us. The customer's complaint is that intermittently it does not crank. So you push the start button, it does nothing. All the lights are on the dash, it does nothing. So we've been doing a whole bunch of testing inspections. The big challenge with this car is that we've had this car for 7 days and we've had the problem happen 4 times. One of those 4 times it was when it was dropped off by the tow guy, and we tried it one time and it didn't start. The next time we tried it starts. You know, the car doesn't start, so we have to push it in. It's a 8HP 70, my favorite transmission. You have to release the thing out of park. It won't, you put it in neutral, it won't actually do it if the engine is not running. So there's a park mode or a neutral mode. We pull that lever. As soon as we pull the lever, Sam tried to start it again, it starts up. Sam was like, hey, maybe this thing needs, you know, the shifter's bad. And I bumped the shifter when I went to use it. So we kind of looked at that. It's not the case. This is a pretty sophisticated system to make this car start. So what it does is it checks to see if your foot's on the brake. It checks to see what the transmission shifter's lever is in. It checks the engine RPM. It checks the rolling code in the CAS. And if all this stuff is a yes, and the CAS says there's no anti-theft events going on, then it'll enable the start to happen. And then there is 2 different starter relays that make the starter work. If all that's good, it starts and runs. So where we're at with this thing is we start with the basics, right? So we check the battery. This has a AAA battery. I can tell you out of all the batteries that we see, AAA batteries are the absolute worst. Do not allow these batteries to get installed in your car. This one's physically installed wrong, but not installed right for the car. This battery gets registered to the car. It's probably having a premature death of this battery. This battery's no good. We've tested it a couple times. We have to keep a battery maintainer on it to keep this battery health, to just keep it up to voltage. The battery needs to be registered to this car. So why this one has premature death is when this car has 110,000 miles on it roughly, it has never had a battery registered. So the car thinks this battery is 10 years old and the car is only charging at like 11.5, 12.5 volts to kind of softly charge that battery to bring it up to health. Where if this battery's new, it'll just, bam, it'll hit it with 13, 14 volts and let it go because the battery will take it. Well, it knows, it thinks the battery's old, so it's real gentle with the battery. Well, when you do an energy diagnostic to this car, which is like the start cycles, like how many times this car got turned off, what the driver profile is, so it car logs, like what your driving conditions are. It monitors all those things. This guy's not driving this car, so you're not getting a lot of miles on it. It's not being charged well because it's not registered correctly. It's contributing to the problem, but not causing it. So this it has a bad intelligent battery sensor because it doesn't register sometimes correctly. It needs an intelligent battery sensor. It needs a new battery and it needs the battery registered. But it's still not causing the problem. So let's go to the front. We'll talk about where we're at. This vehicle on the front has a integrated supply module. It's a fuse panel with some relays internal. If this was an E90, which is a 3 Series BMW, this stuff's over here in the dash. All the relays are external. This one, they put them inside the thing, so we can't physically touch them. So we have to do all these probing tests to see if all the relay commands are correct, and then see, hey, is the relay bad or is the starter bad? We know all of our enabling stuff is good. We know the wire to hear the starter is good. We got a battery voltage that's up, and that's good. I'm pretty sure it has a relay module that's bad, but we're gonna sit there and go through the process to make sure. The absolute last thing we wanna do to this car is put a starter in it, because it's very possible it has a bad starter. It's very expensive to put a starter in this car. I think the exhaust manifold has to come off to get the starter in. That would suck if we did that. And really the problem's over here. So we're sitting there going through the steps to make this right, to make sure we're getting the right answer. The guy that owns this car, cool guy. What makes him an awesome person? We've had this car for 7 days. The guy's like, no, I don't want to be on a tow truck. I want to be able to trust my car. I want to be able to make sure it starts. the flip side of this, if this customer was doing the typical customer thing of, you got to figure it out. I need my car. I got to go to work. I got this to do. We'd be like, well, that's nice. That's nice. Please take your car to the dealer. Well, they will deal with that crap because this car is only screwing up with us every couple days. We need time. We're doing what we need to do. The car's staying inside the shop. We test it several times a day. If you are jamming us with problems, we're not going to have it. We're going to say, see you later, Charlie. Go to the dealer. Go somewhere else. Have your problems dealt with. This car's already been to another shop. We're the second ones because we know what we're doing. Thankfully, this guy's awesome. He knows how to be a customer. He knows how to work with us, and it's going to work out great. We're going to get him the right answer. So, long story for a weird problem, but there you go. Let's go look at a Toyota that's here. This is a long-term customer of ours. Long-term customer, this guy's a great customer. Our normal oil service, we're looking the car over, making sure nothing's a surprise with this customer. We did have a leaky upper radiator hose on this car. Mind you, we put the radiator in this thing about 5 years ago. So that surprised me. It's out of warranty technically. We're gonna put a radiator in this thing for free because I think this car's only been 3,000 miles since this radiator installed. It should last better. It should do a better job than this. So as the owner, I'm like, no, we're gonna put a radiator in this thing for free because it should do better than this. The other thing we found is it has a leaky water pump. The water pump gasket, which is a sad scenario because this is a Toyota OE pump and there's two halves of it and it's leaking between the two halves of the thing. So instead of just replacing the gasket, we're putting a whole pump in it and we're putting a time belt on it. The time belt on this was replaced about 11 years ago when we did the water pump about 11 years ago. Unfortunately, I can't warranty 11 years ago stuff, but we're definitely gonna take care of this radiator. We're gonna put upper and lower radiator hoses, and we're gonna change the clamps. I don't know why we used it back in the day. We're gonna go back to the factory clamps. I think this is probably what's causing our problem is this style of clamp. This should never be used on plastic. They tension to a certain diameter, and the plastic expands and contracts, and it'll eventually crack the radiator, which I think it's doing to this one. What goes on here is a spring-loaded clamp that has constant tension, and it has the ability to open and close. It's the right thing, so like I said, we're just taking care of this. Yeah, so this is the water pump out of this Toyota Camry. You can see it's leaking right in this gasket. Like I said, this is a factory Toyota part. This comes as one piece when we buy it, so that sucks. Everything else in the shop is pretty just maintenance stuff. It's pretty boring. Well, let's go talk about feelings. So about 10 years ago, I started to predict this stuff was gonna happen. Here we are. Years ago, I drove a Volkswagen Golf. It was a manual transmission, naturally aspirated 2-liter gem of a car. It was fun to drive. It was just a great little car, right? It was very basic, naturally aspirated, great. Okay, got like 36 miles to the gallon. You couldn't kill this thing. But at about that time, you're starting to see more of like this stuff start coming on the market, right? And I'm like, this is gonna kill things. This is gonna hurt people, and not physically hurt them, I mean financially hurt them, because looks like a cheap economy car that is stylish. Like this looks like it should be a Fiat Toyota Corolla. Like this is a fun car that somebody would own and should be economical and pretty reasonably to maintain. That's what this car was when it was in Italy. What we get now though is the problem. So and the Mini and the Fiat share it. There's a whole bunch of cars going on the same path. This car now is a 1.4 cylinder, highly stressed engine. It has a turbocharger, it has direct injection, variable cam timing, and variable valve lift. These are all super expensive, super complex things. It's doing all this stuff and it makes like 110 horsepower. You could have put a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine in this car, not direct injection. I'm like just a basic engine, just basic like this Toyota Camry. Basic. Made more horsepower and was more reliable and cheaper to own. Oh, it also has a variable displacement oil pump, a variable displacement AC compressor. They put so much technology crap in this car. In my opinion, they ruined it. These break down a lot, and when they do, they're expensive, right? This Mini Cooper is the exact same thing. It's a different car. You know, they grew up and got a little bigger, but like 2015, these Minis were small, right? But this Mini now has variable valve lift, variable cam timing, a turbocharger, a vacuum pump that leaks oil, a thermostat that causes problem, a direct injection system, a variable valve lift, or variable displacement oil pump. It has problems with every single one of these things. This really could have been, again, a 2-liter, naturally aspirated, not direct injected, basic engine, and it would have lived longer, it would have been cheaper for the person to own it, and it just would have done a better job and made the same amount of horsepower, and probably really, really similar fuel economy. Emission standards are so tight that the car manufacturers have to run these 1.5, 1.6 engines, then they stress the shit out of them to get the power they want out of them, and then they direct inject them to make them more fuel efficient. Gosh, it just comes at such a consumer price that is, in my opinion, unnecessary. The California Air Resources Board kind of got their hands slapped a little bit recently because there was a big report that was published that said the California Air Resources Board did not take any consideration to the consumer's finances when they were dictating what the EPA regulations should be. And so they were like, tighter regulations, more regulations, make them tighter. We need more efficiencies, we need more fuel economy. And it drove this to a price point that most people, when this stuff breaks, it gets hard to pay for it. It's expensive. This is all government regulation stuff. It's not, I don't think Mini would have chose this if it wasn't for what the government was doing. So I knew this was coming. All these cars, modern cars, suffer from this problem. I would always tell you Toyotas were a safe bet because they stayed away from a lot of this stuff. Toyotas went down this rabbit hole. Ford's gone down this rabbit hole. Honda's gone down the rabbit hole. They all had to keep up with what the EPA is demanding of them. I'm telling you, it's going to come at consumer costs and unreliable stuff. So there's my soapbox for the day. Let me know what you think.